This is my first time publicly talking about Tasha K. I tried not to because I know that she wanted me to do this from the beginning, but that's not my character. I'm not a back and forth person.
Do you think that Tasha K wanted to go back and forth with you on the internet for views? You all were supposed to discuss finances, and it was almost like brushed under the rug. So you never received any money from Tasha K for
People who don't know, Tasha K, camera on and off are two different people.
Tasha K told you there was no such thing as undetectable in reference to your HIV status.
Mm-hmm. And then when the cameras come off, she a whole nother Tasha K.
Wow. Your dad had never messed with your ex-husband until you told him about how good the sex was. You think that your dad started messing with your ex-husband before the wedding? Do you feel like your father set you up to catch HIV?
My
So not
husband,
only did your father sleep with your ex-husband who gave you HIV, your father was trying to
DA.
hit on your new husband, your current husband.
Hi,
How you doing this morning?
I'm good.
I hope you're in good spirits this morning. I really do. Thank you so much for being here. In your own words, Brenda, can you please tell my audience how you became infected with HIV?
Well, hey, you all. My name is Brenda J. I am HIV positive. I've been HIV positive for going on 8 years. Actually, this year will make 8 years for me. One thing about it, I always say nothing is off limits. I'm gonna let you know now. When it comes to
Okay.
interviews, nothing is off limits to me. I don't give a damn. It's my truth, and I'm gonna tell my truth. I don't care who get upset. I'm not depressed anymore. I'm on meds, so I don't give a damn how anybody else feel. This happened to me, and you was my abuser. So I'm going to tell my story.
Okay.
Okay.
Like it. I love it.
Okay. So I was 19 years old when I moved to Tallahassee, Florida, to be with my sister and my father. My real father is a sex offender. I knew he was a sex offender. I knew that my dad was bisexual, but he was still my dad. Prior to me moving to Tallahassee, me and my dad had a relationship to where, man, my dad was one of the girls. So we used to have like a really, really good relationship where we
Because your
talked
dad
about,
was one of the girls?
he was one of the girls, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, well, I wouldn't really say he bisexual, but because he do marry women, because he's a pastor, um, I get it.
When did your parents split up and where did you live growing up? Because you said you weren't with your dad.
Okay, okay. So, I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. I'm born and raised. My real father so is my mom. My real father was a pastor here when my mom met him. My mom was a church girl and she started going to his church with other kids. And my mom was underage when my dad was laying with her. His wife knew. He married his brother's baby mama. So my mom was like 15, 16 years old. Um,
How was your dad?
my dad probably was in his 30s. Because my dad is old enough to be my grandfather, honestly. I am 28. My dad is like late 60s, early 70s. And, that's how they initially met. My mom was one of the kids at his church. And my dad wasn't in my life because my dad ended up going to prison for molesting boys and girls. And before he got arrested, he was pimping a lot of those kids out on the corner,
Hmm.
making money, and other pastors was paying him to sleep with the children. So it was a lot. And that's why I feel like to this day, me and my older sister, because I do have a sister on my dad's side, it's just me and her. And she feels a certain way towards my dad too, because he wasn't really there. And we both feel like we suffer from a lot of things because of what he did. And it's messed up because when I remember talking to him about me being, molested and stuff like that as a kid, but how can I express what happened to me to a man who was doing it to other kids? So he's an abuser himself. So that's how my parents met.
Were they ever together, married? You said your dad went to jail, but how did it end up to where you weren't living with your dad and you were raised by your mom?
Well, when my dad went to prison, I was not even born yet. I was already conceived before he went to jail.
Okay,
He
I
was
got you.
in prison when I was born. And they made this big thing that I wasn't his child. His mama and his sisters was like, that's not his baby. But y'all knew he was sleeping with children. And my mom was one of those kids. And y'all still let him shack up with those kids. And y'all live down the street. So they got a DNA test while he was in prison. And unfortunately, I'm his child.
So you just were living with your mom, just growing up then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my dad, him and my sister convinced me to move to Tallahassee. I don't remember if I was supposed to move there or was I supposed to visit. I really to this day don't know what exactly I was supposed to do. But I ended up telling my sugar daddy, and my sugar daddy was like, he don't trust my dad, don't
Your
go.
sugar daddy.
hmm
She didn't. No, where did sugar daddy come from?
So I had a sugar daddy since I was like 14. But what I didn't know was the
Was he a
sugar
pimp
daddy,
or a trafficker or a sugar daddy?
sugar daddy.
Oh, okay.
So when I was 14, I didn't know my sugar daddy was a child molester. Like I didn't know that was considered. I mean, I was a child. I was 14. So I didn't know that my sugar daddy was a sex offender. Because when I turned 18, I saw him again. He came to see me in Pompano Beach, Florida. And it was his birthday, so he came to see me. And he asked me how old I was. And I told him I was 18 now. He was shocked because he likes children. Um, but I wasn't. Now, when I got 18, it started to put two and two together, and that's how I figured out he was a sex offender because I was a little girl when he met me in front of Food Lion.
So
So,
were you living with your sugar daddy? Okay.
this particular sugar daddy, he was in Jacksonville too. He was old. He lied about his age though. He told me he was in his 50s. He was actually in his 60s. That's crazy. But this particular sugar daddy, I wasn't necessarily living with him, but I was always at his house because he was an older man and he had a lot of health things that he wanted me. He actually wanted to be his caregiver, um, but I just didn't want to go that route. And then when my sister and dad convinced me, I definitely let him know. I'm thinking about leaving for school. So yeah, I was supposed to move there. I was thinking about going to school in Tallahassee, blah, blah, blah. He was like, he'll put me to school here. Don't leave him. And I felt bad because he had just got diagnosed with cancer.
Were you sleeping with this man?
It's so messy. Yes, I was.
It ain't no judgment here at all. Like at all.
It's so messy. No,
He
probably like twice because he was on a pill, so he couldn't really do nothing. And if
was
you
on
know
the who?
them pills, those
Viagra's?
yeah, he was on them and it didn't work.
Wanted
That's
to
what
really
made it so much easier with him because like it's it was really, really easy with him. And he was a low-key drug dealer too.
Oh wow. For y'all who don't know, Brenda, she has a story and a half. This is about her HIV story right now, but depending on the reaction of the video, I will definitely have Brenda back on my channel where we could like fill in the gaps on some things. So I want to get back on track because this is very interesting. I mean, her life literally could be a movie. I'm pretty sure that your life will be a movie. If y'all think that Precious was something, no, Precious ain't got nothing on Brenda. Let me tell you, Precious ain't got a thing on Brenda, okay?
Praise God.
So you were living with your sugar daddy at the time.
Mhm.
I mean, well, kind of not, just kind of like off and on
Right.
at his house all the time. You're around college age, and your sister and your dad ask you to come there, and you want to go to school and stuff. So you end up going to Tallahassee, begin
Mhm.
there.
So I got there and my dad, he bought me a Greyhound ticket. I think it was Greyhound. Yeah, that was Greyhound. And I pulled up at a Greyhound and I was waiting because let me say something. I was a stripper around this time, so my body was T. Okay.
Your body will what?
T. If you know Brenda J, then you know the story times you saw the pictures. I used to be a stripper, baby. My body was T. Okay. So, well, even my old video, you should know that. Um, so him and this guy with locks came to pick me up. And I was like, oh, because I knew I was a hoe. So,
You knew you was a hoe?
a hoe.
Oh, so you was just,
Mhm.
that's what it was.
So I was like, oh, he's fine. So I know my dad one of the girls. So when we put up at my sister's house, I got a car and the dude grabbed my bag and he was going upstairs. And I was like, who is that? And the look that my dad gave me, he was laughing and he was like, you think he fine? I was like, baby, more than fine. I said, he packing. I said, I don't know what it is, daddy, but I got a gift to see a man packing. And he just started
You told
laughing.
your daddy that?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Okay.
I said, but me and my dad had some interesting conversation. My dad knows about my white sugar daddies and how it was reverse cowgirl, if you know what I mean. I was the one wearing the scraps. hmm And I was getting paid big. So my dad knows stuff
That
like
video is not gonna get monetized already.
that.
It's not. Your dad and this dude with dreadlocks pick you up
hmm
from the Greyhound station in Tallahassee. As soon as you see this dude, you say it's something about him, and you said you was a
hmm
H to the Izzo, and so
hmm
you just had to have him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he has some muscles. He was brown skin. I normally go for dark skinned men, but he was a little brown skin. It was cute. So we was there. My dad was laughing or whatever. He was like, "You should talk to him," because my dad know how I am and I know how he is. But I would have never thought that him and my dad was messing around too, though. Like I did not see that coming at all. I was like, that man is too fine to just be settling. But I found
He's
out it was.
settling.
Mhm.
What your daddy look like?
You don't want to know, baby. I'll
Oh,
send you.
okay.
I'll send you. I inbox you a picture. So my dad was like, "You should talk to him. You should talk to him." And I was like, "I don't know. I don't really know him like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not here for that." He was like, "Girl, you lying." He was like, "You my daughter, so I know you want him." I should have peeped when he said that, but I didn't. But he was like, "Yeah, he's married, but him and his wife not together." I was like, "Oh, I don't do married men." But that was him trying to throw Derek so that I wouldn't talk to him because he was messing with him. I know now, but yeah. So we went in the house, saw my sister for the first time since I was a little girl.
How much older is your
So,
sister than you?
there is a huge big gap. Actually she's like 36, 7. My sister's 37, I'm 28. So it's definitely a big jump between us. Um, she didn't really know about me until like her teenage years. That's when she found out about me. Um, and I remember seeing her faintly because I was a kid. But anyways, we kumbaya, all of that. Next day, um, I got to know more about my dad. We talked, and I want to
How long
say,
had it been since you saw your dad?
I think the last time I saw my dad, I was maybe 12.
And then at this age, right now that you're talking about, how old were you?
I was 19.
So like 7 years you hadn't seen him.
Yes, I think it was 12. All I remember is him in the halfway house for sex offenders, and it was Thanksgiving, and he cooked
How
dinner.
long was he incarcerated for that?
Pretty much majority of my life, honestly, because when he did get out, he had to go right back in because either he failed to register or like before I seen him to Tallahassee, he actually went back because he had a bunch of kids in his church, and it was a lot of parents found out he was a sex offender and got the police involved, the news got involved. It was a lot, and I found out through Facebook. Somebody posted, and I was like, "That is my dad," and I never told nobody because I was embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? Like I was embarrassed for real, but I didn't really know him like that at the time. So yeah, it's sad, but he's pretty much been in jail his whole life since he went in. Like he haven't had a break. This probably the most he's been out of jail. So
So did you have any like apprehension about going to live with him, knowing about his past? Was there any part of you that was just like, who am I going to live with?
so talking about when I was in Tallahassee or as a kid.
No, I'm talking about when you, around the time that you're like 19 or however old you are and you moved to Tallahassee.
I wasn't going to live with him. I was going to live with my sister. My
Oh,
dad
okay.
is there. Before my dad got involved, it was me and my sister talking, saying that, I want to, go ahead and move her, but I was hesitant about it. I had to talk to my sugar daddy because he the one that was taking care of me, making sure I was good, and I was taking care of him. You know what I'm saying? So
What was your mom at this time?
I was living with my mom at the time.
So you were living with your mom, but you just had this sugar daddy who was still just giving you stuff and kind of like
My
taking care of
family,
you.
my stepdad, my mama, they all know about my sugar daddy. My sugar daddy name is the same name as my stepdad, middle name.
Oh,
So
okay.
they trust me, they joke. One thing about my family, I never had nothing. They knew I was a hoe. They knew I was a stripper. They knew I had sugar daddies after sugar daddy. They knew I was into girls. My family, I didn't hide nothing from them. They knew about the orgies. I told them, one thing about me.
Goodness. I ain't know about all that, and I've been following you for a few years. I ain't know about all that now.
That's because I only do story time on TikTok late at night. But one thing about me, I'm the type of person, before anybody else can tell my story, I'm going to tell my story. And that's because the reason why I'm like this because of trauma.
You were supposed to move to Tallahassee to be with your sister, but your dad just so happened to be at her house.
So he didn't live there. He was living in a sex offender camp where a bunch of sex offenders are registered to that camp. I almost said the name, but Good Samaritan, they used to have like a sex offender thing where people live there and they work to live there or whatever. But my sister had her own apartment with my niece. So my dad wasn't living there. My dad and my sister really didn't get along. And my dad used me to try to bring jealousy between me and my sister. It worked, apparently, unfortunately. Um, but that's a whole nother story. And it took me a long time to come around my sister again, but I understood the circumstances. My dad is very petty. He is one of the girls, so he know how to do manipulation real good. Yeah, I already knew how my dad was, but it's just crazy how he came between me and my sister. But anyways, I was staying with my sister and my niece. I was never staying with my father. My father but didn't have his own place at the time. He was working and living at a sex offender camp. He was one of the big bosses, so he kind of got his own area versus everyone else had to have bunk beds in the same area.
Okay. So, okay, you're living with your sister. Your dad and this guy pick you up from the Greyhound station. What happens? How do you contract HIV?
So I want to say it's a few months later, everything was going good with my sister. Me and her got really, really close. And then my niece and I got really, really close. We actually got a date tomorrow. Um, my dad is starting to act a little weird, but I know he's sometiming because that's just him. He's just very sometiming. But he ended up taking us to this Goodwill. It's not Goodwill, but it was like a thrift store. And what I didn't know was nothing but sex offenders worked at that thrift store. And not one parent, not one person knew that there was nothing but sex offenders working there. And when they did find out, oh, honey, when I tell y'all it was all over the news, it was all over the news. It was crazy. But anyways, we went to the thrift store. We went in. Me, I don't pay nobody no attention. Okay. So I'm walking around looking at thrift stores. I was a little bougie around that time. So thrift stores wasn't my thing. I was a little bougie. I had sugar daddy, so they took care of me. Especially when I reached white sugar daddy. So it's like, and my dad, he loved that. He loved it about me because he saw it. He saw my sugar daddies was just sending me money, how they was paying my bills while I was in Tallahassee. It was so cute. How he,
But he wasn't concerned about his daughter.
no, he's one of the girls. My dad never been actually
That
my
him
dad.
being one of the girls don't have nothing to do with him protecting his daughter. That his sexuality has absolutely nothing to do with the way that he's supposed to conduct himself as a father. Like, and the reason I interjected and said that is because I don't want people to because there's gay people and bisexual people and straight people. There's good and bad and everything. And there's some gay people who would lay somebody out over their child and who's very protective of their children. So your dad's sexuality, he was just the way he was and just a effed up person. I'm just going to say it because that has nothing to do with him not looking out for you and making sure that you were taken care of as a father. And I just want to say that.
Okay.
That has nothing to do with nothing. Him being a girl, one of the girls, him that has nothing to do with him as a father in the way that he should have looked out for you at all.
You're right. You're definitely
At
right.
all. It has nothing to do with that. But so you're at this thrift store,
Mhm.
and what happens?
So apparently, my ex-husband said that's the first time he saw me, and he was talking to the guy with the locks, and him and the dude with the locks was working at the register apparently together, and he said that he told the dude with the locks, who he was like, "I'll eat her drawers off," and the dude started laughing because the dude already met me because he was one of the dudes that came with my dad to pick me up. And he was like, I'll eat her drawers off. And the dude started laughing with the dreads. And he was like, Boy, you
Wait a
crazy.
minute. You in the thrift store
Mm-hmm.
with your dad.
Mm-hmm. And my
And you
sister.
talking about it's a conversation about somebody talking about eating your drawers off. Can you back up? Because I'm
Mhm.
old. So
So,
so
okay. So my ex-husband ended up telling me that the first time he actually met me or seen me is when we came to the thrift store,
okay.
right?
Was he working at the thrift store?
Yes, him and the dude with the dreads that I was telling you about.
Oh, okay. So your ex-husband wasn't the dude with the dreads.
No.
Oh, okay. Cause see, the whole time I'm already jumping ahead. I'm thinking, oh, the dude that picked him up her from the Greyhound, that's an ex. Okay, I got you.
Mm-mm.
I got you. Okay.
So that's the first time he actually saw me. He was talking to the dude with the dress and was like, I'll eat her drawers out. And the dude with the dress started laughing. And he was like, Man, she's dangerous. My ex-husband said, Man, she's dangerous. I'm glad I'll never see her again. He was like, Yes, you will. That's Pastor Jenkins' daughter. So that's how he initially saw me, but I never saw him because I wasn't into like I was want to talk to nobody that work at the thrift store. My sugar daddy, I got drug dealers and white sugar daddies that live in Miami. What I was looking at, like that wasn't my type of thing. So we ended up leaving and going home. And all I remember, I had just snatched my wig off because I had it on the whole time. And I heard a knock at the door. So my sister was going to open, babe, I put my wig on so fast because I didn't know who was at the door. So she opened it and it was my dad. And my dad was like, Hey. And I was like, Hey. He was like, I got somebody to bring the TV out because my dad bought my sister a TV. And so the dude came up and behold, it was my ex-husband. So he brought the TV out.
Let me just okay. Don't lose your train of thought. But I want to
Okay.
say I want to interject something.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I thought that the dude with the dress was your ex-husband is because you said at the beginning of the interview, when they picked you up, you was like looking at oh boy or whatever. But you said your dad was kind of like hating a little bit because he was messing with him too. So your dad was messing with him and messing with the ex-husband?
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
But I
So
mean,
your ex-husband is
the one that
the,
brought the TV up, yeah.
bringing up the TV. Tell me what happens.
So he comes in. I still don't pay him no attention because I saw him staring at me. Now, mind you, I used to be a stripper, so I know how my body was. So I saw him staring at me. I'm used to men staring at me. You know, this was before kids, honey. And I just act like I didn't see him. So he proceeded to go in the back with my sister to help her put the TV up. They was talking. He came back out. My dad introduced us. And he was like, come to find out, my dad was purposely trying to swing me over to him so I won't go with dreads. So y'all, I want y'all to have that context in your head. So my dad introduced us. I was like,
So your
hi.
dad did not want you to get with the dude that went with him to pick you up from the Greyhound. So he
Right.
was trying to like push you off on this other guy, which is
Mhm.
now your ex-husband.
Mhm. I feel like it was a conversation that was had about me between my dad, my ex-husband, and the dreads. I think it was the conversation because why the dude with the dress didn't bring the TV? Why was my ex-husband and the dude with the dress been with my dad all this time? So I still wasn't really paying my ex-husband no attention. When my dad introduced us, I wasn't interested because I was still thinking about dreads. But I knew my ex-husband was packing because I have the gift to see. Like I don't know. I don't know if it's a bad thing to say as a woman of God, but I can see. But I knew my ex-husband was packing, but dress was caught my eye first. So my dad introduced us and stuff like that. I saw my ex-husband looking at me like he wanted to, me. So uh, I purposely laughed it off and said that he was staring at my sister. And the whole time he was watching me, but I was trying to brush him off of me. Um, so that was the first time that we actually met. Well, I met him. Apparently, it's not the first time he saw me. Um, After that, Thanksgiving was the second time that I met him. Um, Time went on. It's Thanksgiving. My dad invited him to Thanksgiving, but he did not invite Lux to Thanksgiving. Lux wasn't there. Why? I
He
don't
won't
know.
box around you.
Right. So me and Lux actually was texting Loki. My dad didn't know though. So me and Lux was texting or whatever, and he said he's not married. He don't have a wife. None of that.
Let me
Now,
ask you this. You've been saying that your dad is one of the girls.
mhm,
So at any point, I know you're young, so they have to take that in consideration too.
mhm.
But at any point, even at like 19, did you think, okay, my dad is one of the girls? Did you question these other men regardless of what they look like? Because, gay come in all different forms. So at any point, did you question these dudes around your dad, knowing how your dad got down?
Baby, if you would have saw these men, you wouldn't question either. Because ew, you would want to mess with my dad. Like
Oh, okay. So you
he
wouldn't
looked like a dried
question
up
it because
frog.
he looked like a dried up who?
Frog.
So the reason that you didn't question is because you never thought that those men would stoop so low to be with your daddy.
Right.
Got it.
Right.
Got it.
So, and like I'm telling you, them men was built like healthy. But honestly, I did not know they were sex offenders. I did not know. I know my dad have a church.
So it's Thanksgiving, and what happens?
So my ex-husband is there. We was sitting next to each other. I really didn't know nobody there because I'm not from here. I don't, I pretty much just got here. So he apparently don't have family in Tallahassee either. So we were just sitting next to each other, really wasn't saying nothing. He kept trying to get my attention or whatever. And then my god brother called me outside and we smoked a little bit, came back in. I sat down again, and then that's when my ex-husband finally said something to me. And then we was talking for a little bit, and he asked me for my number, and I said, I can give you my messenger. I don't give out my number because when I want to block you, I want to block you. So I gave him my messenger, and we was, even though we were sitting next to each other, we was texting each other, and he was cool. He was a cool dude, but I was still stuck on dreads. So and dreads came over the next day.
Yeah, what you pausing for? Girl, you off the chain. I mean, I already can about imagine what happened.
So I had high hopes with dreads because I knew he was packing, but this is when everything turned completely for the worse. Dreads is an R word, not just an SO. So me and Dreads was about to, and it was so big. And I was like, I got to know what that felt like. So we proceed to do grown-up things. It started to hurt. I'm one of the biggest freaks you probably ever met in your life. So that never happened to me. So I told Dreads to stop. The more I begged to stop, it seemed like the more he got turned on. I think that changed my entire perspective on life in Tallahassee first. Um, After he was done, he left, and you can tell he was scared when he left. I barred up, confused, and then my sister asked me what happened and don't like her. And I told her what happened. And she called my dad. And then I don't I don't know how, but I can tell it was a lot of evil stuff going on because I don't know how my ex-husband got involved at this point. My ex-husband found out what happened to me, and he fought him so bad. He beat the man so bad. And he just kept saying, sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Because he thought that my dad was gonna call the police to lock him up. But that wasn't his intentions. His intentions was to control him by knowing what he did to his daughter and using it against him for his pleasure.
The way he was blackmailing the man to sleep with him so he wouldn't put him in jail over what he did to you?
Mhm. I didn't know, I didn't comprehend that. I'm 19, so I didn't comprehend a lot of stuff that was going on. But I, thinking about this now, I still don't understand how my ex-husband found out about it, how he got involved. But I feel like it was some evil underlying stuff happening. My dad told him what happened. He slept with your girl. He did this to your girl, even though that wasn't my man. And so I'm listening. I'm on the phone listening to him fighting the dude, beating him bad, and you can hear the man's trying to break him up or whatever. And that's why I feel like the manipulation came in at because I felt safe that you don't know me, but you will go measures to protect me. That's what the manipulation came in at that I
At
gathered.
19, you not really grown up with your father and stuff, and then you having someone, because how old was your ex-husband?
He was 35 at the time.
And you were 19.
Mhm.
So it's almost like a father figure and a
Right.
romantic partner and a protector wrapped in one. And so I
Mhm.
can see how you would be attracted to that. I can see it.
And it's
And
crazy because you pointed it out because that's why I had sugar daddies. It wasn't the sexual thing because like my sugar daddy, I told you, yeah, we messed around, but it wasn't more than 1 minute because I really didn't see him in a sexual way. I saw how he protected me. I saw how he made sure I was good. He called me, made sure I got home safely. He gave me wisdom, but he saw me one way. I saw him another way, if that makes sense. And as messed up as I sound, but that boils down to my trauma. And you know some of my trauma. So that's where it boils down to. So my ex-husband doing that turned me on about him. You get what I'm saying? So, but like I said, that's where the manipulation parts come in. Because my dad had his hands on all that happened. My dad was in that pot stirring it up.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
So the next day my dad and my ex-husband came. That's how he was like, yeah, this is the one. He protected you. He made sure you was good. Stick with him. That's how it all happened. Come to find out, it was the plan from the beginning. And I think that's the sickest thing. And it's crazy because me and my sister was talking about it yesterday, how sick that was. So that's how me and my ex-husband ended up texting, talking on the phone all night long to like morning. I was in college around this time, so I was always busy with school, but I tried to make time for him, and that's how I started falling for him. And I remember my ex-husband was like, after he love bombed me, he was like, "You don't want me. I'm no good." Once again, this is the manipulation that comes in. You don't want me. I'm no good. I gotta stay away from you. You're dangerous. Like he always said I was dangerous. I still don't know what that means to this day. Um, you're dangerous, blah, blah, blah. Mind you, we haven't even had sex yet. So he don't even know how dangerous I can be. And that's how we got into a relationship. But me, I gotta test before I go full in. I need to know that your car is good for me. If you know what
Wait
I
a
mean.
minute. You off the chain.
I gotta tell the truth.
You off the chain. So you have to test drive the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I knew he was packing. Mm-hmm.
I don't want Brenda, because something's just not necessary, because we're here to talk about how Brenda contracted HIV. And once again, if you want to hear Brenda's backstory, then I'll have Brenda back on the channel so that she can talk about that. But there's a reason why Brenda is like hypersexual and all of this stuff. There's a reason for it, you all. So don't, sit up here and like, wow, I can't believe she's Sanderson judging her. If there's a reason why Brenda does what she does, all that.
And to know what you said so they can understand a little bit, my addiction started when I was 8.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
yeah.
I
So
know.
just in case they didn't know, my addiction started when I was 8 years old. It's not started when I was 18. It was 8 years old. Okay, so me and my sister was talking. I was like, I want to test drive it. That's exactly how I looked at her. I need to know before I get in a relationship that it's what I need. So I asked her for a condom and we went in a room and he pulled out that thing. I was like, oh, okay. This is a lot. So I went in straight. I saw him put the condom on because that's me about safety was my thing. To go back about did we get tested? Yes. I got tested. I went and got tested for HIV, and then he went and got tested, but kind of found out his paperwork was false. They were fraud.
So he presented some paperwork to you, and the paperwork was fake.
Fraud. And it's crazy because to this day, a lot of people are doing that. Here in Florida, in Jacksonville, the only way I'm gonna trust what you're saying, I have to see you on my chart. I don't want to see no paper. After that, I have to see your my chart. I need to see the hospital chart that shows me if you have anything or not. I'm married now, and I make my husband get tested every 3 months, and we're married, and I'm doing HIV positive. I don't give a darn. But to protect me and you, I want to make sure we both good. So, anyways, I just got mad a little bit. But so he put the condom on or whatever, and then I got into my favorite position. They say I'm a dog. So
What was that?
they say I'm a dog. So I got in my favorite position.
Okay, I got you.
Mhm.
Wow. 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 Okay.
I, I know this is the HIV talk, but I have to be me. You know how I am. I have to be.
Yeah.
So Lord, please don't let my husband see this interview. He slid it in. If you don't know what it's like to put marshmallow chocolate on a cracker and it's starting to melt, that was me. I melted. I've never melted in my life the way I melted that day. Um, Moment of
Is that
silence.
good, huh?
Gotta edit some of this stuff.
The video's not gonna, I've already come to the conclusion that the video's not gonna get monetized.
So I melted and I was like, ain't no way this man feels like gold. The way I've never had a man make me feel like this before. So it was so good that I couldn't even think. So all I noticed that he stopped because I'm like, why I don't feel good no more? What happened? So I see him struggling putting the condom back on. You would have thought that I was mature enough to be upset or make him stop and just don't do nothing with him at all. But I think it was so good that I continued to go because I mean we both good. So
Let me ask you this.
mhm.
Did the condom fall off, or do you think that he pulled it off? What
He
moment?
pulled the condom off. When I saw him put the condom on, he slid the condom back off. He wanted me so bad that he wanted to feel me. And it's crazy because after everything that happened, when he got out of jail, me and him got on the phone and had a one-on-one conversation. And I mean, you got caught, you got exposed, so he ended up telling me everything. So that's how I'm able to tell my story and tell his side.
Confidence.
Right, because he told me things. He slid the condom off once I bent over. He wanted me so bad that he wanted to feel all of me. Um, it's almost sick in a sick way. He wanted to know why dreads was crazy. But dreads, it was always a condom with dreads. So it wasn't like, and it was at one time. So it wasn't like dreads no, but he wanted to know why dreads was effed up in the head. But it had nothing to do with me. I don't think.
So you are at your sister's house, you ask her for a condom, you go in the room with him, y'all do y'all thing. At this point, you realize that there's no condom. Then what happens?
And then I look back, I saw him, and I didn't see it. I was like, in my head, I'm like, we're both good, so we might as well finish. And we proceeded, and it was amazing. But after it was done, I went to my sister and I told her, and she cussed me out. She cussed me out from A to Z because she said, you have never done no issue like that. You have always protected yourself, even with these, well, I can't say that. That's YouTube. These C word. And you be putting
Crackers?
them. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
But I was like, that don't count because I bent them over.
Oh,
So
wow. Wow, that's crazy. That's
yeah.
crazy. So your sister's upset. Then what
Mhm.
happens?
So she just snapped on me, like she gave me, oh my gosh, she cussed me out, and I did not stop hearing about it. So ever since then, that very moment of us sleeping together, I've been stuck on him. It was, and I tell people like, Brenda, why did you? It was the D. Like people ask me all the time, and I tell them the truth. It was the D. It was never love. It was lust. I grew to love him, but it was lust. That man was amazing, and he know he's good at what he do. That's why his boyfriends from jail used to call me and tell me how they wanted to help take care of my baby. And I was like, oh yeah, my ex-husband, he done slept with him. He done gave it to him, child. They act stupid because that's how I was. I was stupid like that.
Wait a minute. After your husband went to prison for infecting you with HIV, he would
Mm-hmm.
meet these dudes, have relations with them, and they would be so sprung on him
Oh, sprung is not even the word.
that they would call you and tell you that they know who you are and they want to help take care of your baby,
And they be in
that you
jail
stand by
calling
him.
me. They all in jail. Some of them was in jail, some of them was out of jail. But the one that I would never forget that I actually low-key liked, even though he be petty towards me, is the one that he came out of prison with. He actually sent child support for my baby. He made sure her hair was done. He was one of the best boyfriends he probably ever had, but he messed that up. He even his boyfriend called me crying.
You have sex with him.
Mhm.
It was amazing. What happens?
So ever since then, I've been stuck on him. Like we became boyfriend and girlfriend. And then down the line, we had sex at least maybe 2 or 3 times a day. And that's because we both had addictions. We both had, I did not know and realize he had addictions until he was able to catch up with me. If you can catch up with me, oh, you got an addiction. Because if you can sleep with someone for 2 to 3 days, 2 to 3 times a day, you have the same addiction as me. So it worked out. It was more of we was having more relations than we was getting to know each other. So my mom found out about him because I didn't find out till later on. My mom told me my dad called her talking so bad about me.
About you?
Mhm.
Why?
This is when this is what I said I didn't know about him and my dad because now that I'm wiser, I started to put pieces together. My dad started bad mouthing me to my mom because I was sleeping with my ex-husband Derek. And the whole time it was jealousy.
I thought your daddy wanted you to be with him.
Okay, so let me back up a little bit. Daddy, that dick's so good and big. That nigga got me crazy. What? Is that big? I was like, and it's good. Get it? That was the conversation me and him had about my ex-husband. That's where I messed up at. I told him what it was like.
Your dad had not slept with him prior to you getting with him.
Mm-mm.
Wow. So your dad waited till after you got with your ex-husband,
Mhm.
and then your dad had already been sleeping with Dreads.
Yeah, he was messing with drugs already.
But he had not even messed with your
He
ex-husband.
didn't know nothing about him till I told him what he had going on down there.
Okay. So he's calling your mom, talking.
Crap about me.
Okay.
That's where all the drama started. He started talking junk about me to my mom. Then he couldn't get to my mom, so he started manipulating my sister. That's how my daddy was stirring the pot, basically. So this is where it's starting to get confusing for me on my end. Um, so my mom and my stepdad called me and was like talking about me and my boyfriend at the time, and she was like, you shacking up and this and that and this and that. My mom, a woman of God, so she was 7. So then I ended up, my dad was like, it's better to marry than to burn, and you know the word, and you over here shacking up with him, and y'all not married, and
Yeah.
that's
Like,
how.
how can you tell anybody anything? Like, I'm sorry, I already don't like your daddy. Like, I know I'm supposed to remain like objective as a person who is interviewing, but I'm like so irritated. But okay.
So my dad was like, I'll marry y'all because I got my, I'm a pastor, I can do it. I was like, okay. But the woman of God told me, she said, you thinking about getting married? I said, no. She said, God said, focus on yourself. She gave me warning after warning. I remember she told me that she wanted to see me. And it's
Where'd you
before
meet this lady?
church. Her
Your
name
dad's
is
church?
Pastor. No. Her name was
Okay.
Apostle Lovett. I was going to her church. And she have prophesied to me. She warned me and my sister that somebody was going to come and break us up. She warned me that God said that there's a man that's going to walk in my house and he means me no good. Who I told you that walked in my house?
The ex-husband.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't put 2 and 2 together. So she had, before I got married, she told me to come to her church, and we sat down, sat in front of her, and she started telling, like, it's like, I'm trying to cry. It's like this was God's last straw with me. He was trying to warn me before things got worse, and he had her to do it. She sat in front of me, and she told me the reason why I left Jacksonville, not because I wanted to come here. She said that somebody was trying to kill you.
Hmm.
And because I did so much, I wouldn't know who. I was a stripper, I had sugar daddies, I had drug dealers. I done did so much. I was sleeping with girls. I done did so much that I didn't know who, which I have a low-key feeling who,
Who did you think wanted to kill you?
the nephew from my sugar daddy.
The nephew. Oh, okay. Okay.
Because he was
Hmm.
throwing dirt on my name. My sugar daddy called me and be like, my nephew said that he saw you walking. And I was like, how? And I'm in Tallahassee.
Right.
So yeah. She said that God told me to focus on myself. She said she saw me on the news.
Mm.
It's like God was trying to put fear in my heart, but
Do
I
you
was
think that it was
already
too late at that point because you had already slept with your ex-husband?
that, and my dad does witchcraft. So I was already under the witchcraft from the ring. That's a whole
From
nother
the
story.
who?
The ring. That's a whole nother story on itself.
Oh,
My
yeah, I know what you're
yeah,
talking about. Yeah,
yeah.
wow. Yeah, we're gonna have to
So
do a part 2. Like, wow.
it was
Oh,
already too late, and she knew that. I can tell she knew that because it's like she was trying to drill it in my head, but it was going like this out. It was going out of ear because I'm already stuck. So it was too late. After that conversation, we got married a few days later. My dad, I can't make this up. Okay. Let me tell you how my wedding went. I had the wedding in the woman house who I feel like slept with my husband before. That's one. Two, my dad new boyfriend was the one recording and singing for the wedding. My dad was the pastor that did the wedding. Right? What I didn't know was This is around the time my husband and my dad was messing around. I had no clue. I was clueless. The wedding was so dysfunctional that when I came out of all of that, like me now, I look back at the pictures and I said, what was I thinking? How did I let this man get to me the way he did when no man can do that with me? If that's the case, my white sugar daddy from Miami, he wanted me to move to him to Costa Rica. If I was gonna be that weak, I could have went and lived my best life. I would have been one of them girls on TikTok, black girl with a white man, old man to be exact. You get what I'm saying? But I didn't do that because I got my cake and my ice cream.
Let me ask you this. So you knew that your dad liked dreads, but you didn't know your dad had never messed with your ex-husband until you told him about how good the sex was.
Mhm.
So do you think that your dad started messing with your ex-husband before the wedding?
Yes, only because it was a situation. We was at my dad's apartment in the sex offender camp, and um, he ended up. We ended up sitting on his bed, which that was dumb because I know what I did to do. But we sit on his bed, and we was about to watch a movie with me, my ex-husband, and his friend. So we was in there watching a movie. We was about to watch a movie. Turn the TV on. It was Man to Man.
It was what?
Man to Man on TV. We was at my dad's apartment.
Your dad apartment. Okay.
He was sitting on his bed in his
Mm-hmm.
room to watch TV.
Mm-hmm.
My ex-husband turned the TV on.
Mm-hmm.
It was Man and Man.
Yeah, but it's your dad's apartment.
Right.
What did it have to do with you sleeping with your dad sleeping with your ex-husband?
So I put my head down because I already knew about my dad, but I didn't know they knew about my dad. So I tried to play it off. But my ex-husband casually turned it off, and he knew how to turn it off. And then he put it back in the thing and then put it back where it was, what it's supposed to be at. I didn't put two together then. I didn't, I don't know what I was thinking, but my ex-husband got mad at me for putting my head down. And I was like, what did he mad at me for?
Is your father HIV positive?
I cannot answer that.
Okay, I know the answer. The
Mhm.
reason I'm asking you that is because based on everything that you're saying, okay, I can ask you this and you can answer this.
Mhm.
Do you feel like your father set you up to catch HIV? Do you feel like your father wanted you to catch HIV?
Looking back, yes. And this is why. After I locked my ex-husband up, he went to go see my ex-husband. He was there every step of the way, like that was his boyfriend. That's one. Two, my dad called me and said, why did you lock him up? If he can live with it, so can I. I was 20 years old at
And
this
who can
time.
live with it?
No comment.
Okay.
I was
I
20
asked you that
years
for a
old.
reason. I'm not being messy, but I want you to be
I
able
know
to say
why. I
stuff.
get it.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm. I was 20 years old, pregnant, trying to figure out how I'm going to live with this disease with no knowledge of it.
So you are at your dad's at this offender place with
Mhm.
your ex-husband, and you turn on the TV and you see two men and men, and you
Mhm.
kind of put your head down, and your husband or your
My
boyfriend at the
boyfriend at
time
the time. Mhm.
was upset because you put your head down. And not only was he
Mhm.
upset because you put your head down, but he knew exactly where the tape belonged.
Mm-hmm.
So he
Like he
like
was
took
the
it and put it
one,
back in its place, like he
right?
was familiar with it.
Uh-huh.
I got
That's
you.
that's when I started putting two and together. Like once I got out of the situation,
Hmm.
and I was like, how did I not see all of this happening?
Now your dad marries you, and you have this
Mhm.
wedding. And so what happens?
After that, we was hanging out with our friends and stuff, and that's when I first encountered the abuse from him. We was hanging out with our friends. We went to the skating rink for after our wedding. Dumb, because we didn't have no money. How we got rings, it was my school check. How we got our apartment, it was my school check. But we're gonna get there. So we went to, so we didn't have a car. They had a car. So we was riding with our friends who had a car. We're married with no car and no house. We was homeless and we got married.
What were y'all saying?
We were staying with, first we were staying with my sister and her baby daddy. Her baby daddy tried to sleep with me. And I was like, I don't feel safe no more here because he came out of jail too. But I didn't know him and my ex-husband was sleeping around too when they went so-called fishing.
Oh my
That's a
goodness.
whole nother story by itself.
Oh my goodness.
So basically I was surrounded by DLs. Me and my sister was surrounded by nothing but DLs the entire time. I feel like there's no point of hiding anymore. What's the point? It like, what's the point of hiding? And that's who you are. That's who you are. What you hiding for? And I know people gonna talk about me in the comments, but I told my ex-husband, if you would have been honest with me from the beginning, this situation would have been different. I would have known how to protect myself with you having HIV. I would have made sure you took your medicine. I would have told you straight up, if you have eyes for me, I don't need to see your eyes wandering. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna put you down because you're bisexual. That's not me. But you wasn't honest with me. You lied to me. You
Give you a
manipulated
choice.
me. You know what I'm saying? I said, well, put the icing on the cake is you sleeping with my dad. That's where the line draws. So, anyways, so we had went with his friend, and his friend ended up with his family member house, and we was sitting in the car. I don't know what my ex-husband had going. I don't know if he was on drugs or what around this time when he started doing drugs, but he took the, yeah, around you our wedding day. He took the belt and put it around my neck, put basically trying to interfere in my heart to be scared of him.
This
That's
is
where,
on this is the wedding day,
mhm,
right after the wedding.
right after the wedding. All of this is when all of this started, happening. So we end up basically, me and my sister went at it. It was a whole bunch of drama. My sister, baby daddy asked, could we have a threesome? That's the sickest thing I ever heard. Someone would ask me to have a threesome with my own blood sister. It's the weird.
Oh no, now. Come on now.
Um,
Oh.
I remember I had a dream. This is how I knew it was time for us to move. I had a dream that he was trying to arm me. And I feel like that was a warning dream from God too, though, to be careful around him because this man really wanted me. He was so obsessed with me. It was weird. And then he said some off the wall ish to my sister was crazy.
That why you and your sister like didn't talk
I
because of this man?
I feel like it was some jealousy. And I told her this. I feel like it was a lot of jealousy. And then my dad put the cherry on top. I was screaming, and my ex-husband grabbed me. He was like, it's me, calm down, calm down. Um, and he started cussing me out because I had to dream that my sister baby daddy tried to argue. So I should have known then that was dysfunctional. So then it got bad with my sister to the point that we almost fought. And then I just ended up leaving. She purposely lit up the light bill in my name. We had a conversation about that yesterday too. And I paid it. I did. It was really, really high, but I paid it. So we ended up, my dad helped us look for an apartment because my ex-husband is a sex offender. He lied to me about the sex offender stuff. Then he lied to me when I found out about the sex offender stuff. He lied to me how, and then I found out the truth. He ended
What
up
was the
telling me
truth?
the truth. It was one of his cousins, and it was a boy. And his all his family members said it was a lie. The whole situation was a lie. That particular family member nobody bothers with because that particular family member was jealous of my ex-husband because he was the favorite grandson. So that's what everybody was telling me. Now, remind you, his whole family knew he was HIV positive, and nobody decided to tell me knowing my age. And I even remember the cousin, God bless her dead, the cousin that I was close to, she was an older woman. She was way older than me. And I saw some pills. I was like, I wonder what these is. And she said, Google it. That was her way trying to tell me right there. And when everything came out, she did end up confessing that she knew. She ended up confessing about how long she knew my ex-husband was gay. She knew all of this stuff, and I cut her off. And she was going to be my baby godmama. I cut her off because you knew and you didn't tell me. But anyways, let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back because I'm getting off track. Um, we ended up moving into our apartment. It was roach infested. We had a 1-bedroom apartment, $600 a month. We bombed it out, and we just loved that fact that it was ours. It was nobody else. It was ours. He's a bum and a leech, so he was excited that he finally got an apartment because that's probably his first apartment. And I
At that
moved.
age?
Yeah.
Wow. And you got that with your like grants or your student loans and stuff
Mm-hmm.
in school.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
I helped him get a job. Bossed his resume up, got razzle dazzle that resume, got him a really good job, and he was effing his boss too. So it's
Was it a man or a woman?
man.
Oh my goodness.
So it was a
Wow.
lot. So I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. Fast forward, time things gonna come, cooking and cleaning, all that, going to college. Before I got pregnant, there was women showing up at my house. I met them through my husband at the time. What I didn't know, so young and naive, these women were sleeping with my husband. This one lady, she was telling me how good my husband was, and I was blessed to have the man that I have. The whole time she was my man. The whole time she was a crackhead too. hmm She she do crack at night for real. Like a lot of them was doing. She was a functional crackhead. She went to work. She came. She a crackhead. She getting bent over, sloppy. But in the morning, she regular. She regular. She going to work and all. I ended up pregnant, and that's when everything really, really turned. He got more abusive. Um, I remember I caught him watching something in the bathroom, and I slapped him. And I knew he was gonna beat my A, but I was gonna get him good. Things got worse with us because I was pregnant. Um, I didn't know. I never been like full term pregnancy, so because I told you I had a miscarriage in the beginning, so I didn't know what baby does. My sex drive got really, really like it slowed down, but I don't think it was because of the baby. I feel like it's because of the abuse too. He would leave all times of the night, come back high, drunk, and then expected, and he just pounded on top of me. You know that part of Color Purple when Mr. came
Mhm.
in, got on top of her. That's exactly what happened. And I just laid. I know I made my body numb because of my trauma. So I made my body numb and let him do whatever he wanted to do. When he was done, I just laid there, like like in that moment, I knew that this relationship was gonna never be the same from the beginning. It's never. It's not like he isolated me from my entire family. To chop pieces up, I ended up finding out about him and my dad. He was sleeping. I went through his phone. Matter of fact, it was that same night. It was that same night that he did what Mr. did, the color purple, and his phone was right there. I went through his phone. That same
Pregnant at
night,
this time?
yeah, that same night. That's when I found out about him and my dad, and that's when I found out he was GAY. Um, I found my dad picture in his phone. I found the other men in his phone, and I slapped the shit out of him in his sleep. I said, N-word, you gay and you didn't tell me? Because remind you, like I said, it's a backstory for me, y'all. I dealt with gay men before. I dated gay men before. Been there, done that. You get what I'm saying? So that didn't bother me. But it's the fact that you didn't tell me. But what put the icing on the cake was my dad. That's what put rage in me. And I started tearing his behind up. Like, I don't know where that scream came from, but I started going off. And he was like, "Babe, no, I'm sorry, no." And he started grabbing me, trying to apologize to me. I'm crying. I'm like, what the is going on? Like, I'm already dealing with so much from you. Now I'm dealing with this. So it's just like God started revealing things to me. And I'm just like, I gotta figure out what to do going forward. Um, I feel like he knew I was gonna leave him because he used to lock me in the house. I couldn't leave the house. Um, I remember one time he came to me, he was like, I can't live like this, man. I can't live like this. It was him living his double life in secret. You know, he can't do whatever he want to do because he got a wife and a baby on the way. So he grabbed a knife and pulled it to my stomach. And I knew then I had to leave because if y'all don't know, for the viewers that's watching, I am a survivor of human trafficking. So there was a gun put to my head before. So him putting that knife on me brought back memories. And I knew right. And it's crazy because you'd have thought Brenda was done when she found out he was gay. Brenda was done when she found out by her father. You would have thought that's when I left. I didn't leave until you put that knife to my stomach and threatened my baby and me. And then you was gonna let the police kill you. That's when I knew.
Then what happened after that?
So he knew that he got me with fear. He went back to sleep thinking that that was it. And I called the police and Baker at him immediately. And they end up taking me to the protection house, basically. I forgot the name of it. I always know the name, but I know Breon House by heart. But it was a protection
shelter?
Yeah, it was a protection kind where you would never know that's what a shelter is for and at.
So it was like secret. So it was like a secret safe
Right,
place. Got
right.
you.
And it was a bunch of, oh my God, y'all. If y'all know how many women and children are hiding from their abusers, it was so many of us. It was crazy. But anyways, so they Baker act him. He got out the next day. I called him to see if was he home. He answered. I didn't say anything because he always told me from the beginning of the relationship if I ever called the police on him, what he would do. You know what I'm saying? So I feared him. I was scared. I'm not gonna lie, I was scared of him.
Did you continue to live with him?
No, I was at the shelter still.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up going through his emails and I screamed on top of my lungs. My counselor came in, and that's like me seeing those emails was more confirmation. My
So
husband
you
was
were
just,
at the shelter and you went through his emails and you found some more stuff?
oh my God. It was a prostitute. These men was paying him to sleep with them. I found out so much. I was so devastated.
Do you think that
Because,
your father was paying him?
yeah, I do. Um, I think I said that recently in one of my videos before. And I know that because where he be getting money from to take care of us?
Did any alarm bells go off in your head about the safety of your baby or anything like that when you start seeing all this stuff?
Yeah, of course. I um I end up talking to my counselor. I end up going to Breon House. You can look it up in Tallahassee, Florida. It's one of the best programs. If you can donate clothes, shoes, baby items to that place, Breon House, that place is amazing. They take homeless pregnant women and let them stay there for 2 years to get on their feet. I didn't stay there long, but I was there, got my own room. We two people per bathroom, two people per refrigerator. It was amazing. I met some girls there. A lot of them was mean to me, but they didn't know me. They didn't know what I was going through. Because of what I was going through, I shut myself out, not to be like I'm better than everyone. It was more of, you don't know what I'm dealing with. You don't know what I just found out. And then at that time, I was HIV positive unknowingly, and my body was weak, and I thought it was just part of the pregnancy. So I remember one time, fast forward, back up a little bit. I remember one time he dropped me off to the doctor to check on my baby, and he left me. I had to take the bus.
So how did you find out that you were HIV positive?
So fast forward, I did go back. I did go back to him. And it's crazy because Carmen from Corey and Carmen, I don't know if you know them, but the YouTube couple, she said this before in her interview. She said, I had to go back for me. It's like I had to figure something out. I had to go back one more time. And I related to that because that's how I felt. It's like I just needed to see. I don't know how to explain it. It's hard to explain, but I had to go back. I had to go back one more time to see. I don't know what I was thinking.
You just wasn't done. You just wasn't done.
I had to figure out what I was gonna do.
Yeah.
So I went back. This is the worst thing I ever did. Now, mind you, I'm in a safe place with my baby. I'm pregnant. I'm in a safe place. I got food. I got food stamps. I got a good job. All this other stuff going on for myself. I go back.
These are the people that are helping you to go back to that situation.
A lot of times women go back. When I went back, I saw one of the girls from the shelter and smoking with the neighbors. All of them from, this is my house, this is the neighbor house. I come home, he don't know I'm home yet. I come home, my house is destroyed. Now, there's no furniture in there. No, I gave all the furniture to the girl that lived in the shelter with me. She had, at the time, she had 2 kids. At the time, she was pregnant with one and she had a daughter, her oldest daughter. She got her apartment. She got approved for her apartment. I told her, go to my house. I don't give a damn what that nigga doing. Go to my house and get all my furniture. You can have it. Because I knew in my head I wasn't going to go back. In my heart, I swear I wasn't going to go back. So I told her to
you end up going back.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're back. Your house is destroyed. You're pregnant. You don't have any furniture. What happens?
I walked around and I saw some condoms, used condoms, open condoms. I was like, okay, so he effing around. The neighbor next door was trying to throw hints to me that someone been at my house, but she was with him too. So
everybody just sleep with everybody. Oh my goodness.
Right. So I noticed the condom. Normally you would have thought I would have fought, cussed him out. Child, I was numb. I went for to do all that. So I just looked around my house and I saw his beer bottle. And I'm not gonna tell you what I did, but just know I did something that could put me in prison. And he know me, I guess, because he ended up pouring it out and he saw the glass. That's all I'm gonna say. And he was just like, hey, and I was like, hi. That same night, we went to, basically, I'm seeing what he does when I'm not around. So I followed him and he were smoking, snorting. Everybody was doing crack. He was the only one who wasn't doing crack, but he was snorting powder.
Where was this at?
This was at this man house he stayed like a few apartments away from us, like around the corner. Like his apartment was around the building.
So you come back home, you're pregnant, and you follow him to this neighbor's house, and people are just
Mhm.
in there like a crack den. They're doing
Oh
crack and
man,
powder and all kind of stuff.
all kind of drugs. Just the little kids. I was just watching them do drugs, and I was so disgusted with him because you're letting your pregnant wife sit here and this man smoking crack, and you snorting in front of your wife. And then I looked at him and he laughing. So I thought, oh no, nigga, evil. So time went by, we went home. I told him I was hungry. I told him I was thirsty. He said, I don't care. I'm pregnant. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. I haven't had water since I've been here. And he starved me. He didn't give me no water. I asked him, can I ask the neighbor? He told me no. So I waited until he went to sleep to sneak out and ask the neighbor and begged her. Oh, I begged her for some water. I was on my knees begging her for water. I did not know she was sleeping with my husband. So do I believe she spilled my water? Yes. I didn't care. I didn't care. I was so thirsty. I felt sick. I was throwing up stomach acid. And I sat on the porch and I started crying because this time, I put myself in this predicament. So I'm crying upset, like, why would you do this? But you was living good. Like, you weak because you don't know you're HIV positive, but you living good. Like, you got your own bed. You know what I'm saying? They're going to help you with resources. They're going to help you get your driving license. They're going to help you get your apartment. All of these things, like, but I'm not from here, so I'm not familiar with Tallahassee. And my sister, she already moved back to Jacksonville already. Um, because the situation happened between us, we haven't talked in so long. And I could not come and just tell her, because we were so close at one point, I could tell her anything. I could not tell her anything in that moment because our relationship is broken. So I didn't have the courage to tell her that this man is beating and I need to get out of here because she was moving back and she told me to come with her, but I was scared. I ended up, I was crying on the porch and the neighbor's husband, him and his friend was trying to figure out why I was crying. The men could have snatched me. It was really late at night. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. The man could have put me in a truck and took me somewhere and raped me and killed me. Like, just looking back, God really covered me the entire time. So I guess my ex-husband woke up, realized I wasn't there, and all he heard was men. He opened that door so fast, Benji. This man took my hair, wrapped it around his hand, and pulled me back in the house and slammed the door.
While you were pregnant.
Oh, I was pregnant. And I just started crying. He told me to shut up. And then I just sat there and waited till he go back to sleep because he on so much drugs. So I know he gonna keep passing out. So I was like, do you love me? Like, do you love me? He was like, no, I don't love you. And I was like, okay, thank you for telling me that. He was like, why would you ask me that dumb question? You know I love you. I was like, no, baby, you said what you said. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna leave him alone. I'm not gonna leave. I'm gonna just get through this night. I just sat there and waited till he passed back out. I went through his phone and I saw stuff all the way back from years ago. Years ago. I mean, it's from a dude telling him what apartment number he in, come upstairs. I was just finding all kind of stuff in his phone. And I just started crying a little bit so he would hear me. Um, and then I texted my sister and I was like, I need your help. I think that's when I had the courage to tell my sister that I needed to get away from him. And I told her, if I don't leave, I think he's going to kill me. And the next morning, he got up and like nothing happened. Like nothing he did last night happened. It's like he don't even know who he are at night when he on drugs. So he took me to the bus stop and I looked in his eyes when the bus, I waited until the bus pulled up. I looked in his eyes and I said, goodbye, Derek. And he thought I was just going to go to the Breon house. And I said, mm-mm. That was me telling him goodbye forever. I got on the bus and I knew I started panicking because I was like, okay, game time. My bus is at this certain time. The first time I tried to leave him, I had a friend from Jacksonville use her last to buy me a ticket to leave him, and I did not go. I wasted that girl money. And we've never been friends because of that situation. I messed up a good friendship. I got back to the Brown house. I immediately went in my room. I started packing my stuff, and I told the director, I'm leaving. I'm moving back to Jacksonville, Florida. I'm getting away from my abuser. But because women lie so much and they go back to their abuser, she did not believe me. She thought I was moving back with my husband. So I immediately started packing my stuff. So she made the statement, I'll take you there. Because I was going to take the bus to the ground. And I was like, okay. I was still scared because because the bus station is across the street from the ground. I didn't want nobody to spot me and call him and say, your wife leaving. I didn't want that because he low-key got power like that there. Like he had so many gay men under his belt, honey. That thing was slanging for real. I got inside. She believed me when she saw me get my ticket. I print my ticket out. That's when she believed me. She gave me some money because she knew I didn't have no money. She gave me some money and she said, here, this is so you can eat something, you can have food or whatever because I'm pregnant. So she told me to have safe travels because that's when she realized I wasn't lying about leaving. So I got on the bus. I did not feel like a moment until it said by Tallahassee, basically. And I was getting closer to Jacksonville. I got to Jacksonville. I was shaking. It was like I was so scared that he was going to pop up in Jacksonville. And my sister came and got me. I stayed with her for a little bit, but I was getting weaker and weaker, not knowing why. So I decided to leave my sister, and she was upset about that. We talked about that yesterday. She was upset that I left her. I went back home to my mom, let her know I was here. My mom ended up, I guess she saw me and she said I looked sick. I didn't look like myself. I always been thick my whole life. And she said I started to look skinny. So she ended up taking me to my first appointment. But before my appointment, let me back up. She helped me because we scheduled my appointment. But she helped me get my own apartment. And my ex-husband, he called me out of nowhere. So I wanted him mentally to think that I was in Tallahassee all the time. Months passed. I want him to think I'm in Tallahassee. So what made him realize that I no longer was in Tallahassee was he called me one time and I was driving. I don't have a car in Tallahassee. So what made him put two and two together was I guess he ended up went to the hospital. So that lets me know, but I didn't know then, but the HIV started bothering him because he wasn't on meds. So he had called me and was like, can you come get me? I'm at this hospital, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no. He was like, I knew it. You ain't even here because you would have been came to my rescue. So I hung up and I was scared that he was going to find me in Jacksonville for some reason. Nigga ain't even got a car. But anyway, so, things started going good for me because I finally break from him. I got my own apartment. I got me a little job. I started becoming an entrepreneur. I had my, so my first appointment, I went there and my mama told the nurse to tell the doctor to test me for everything. She means everything. And then they tested me. Everything looked good. We heard my baby heartbeat for the first time. Everything was good. We left. Same day, I'm on the phone with my ex-husband. I forgot what we was talking about. And I was like, hold on, somebody calling me.
Did he ever tell you why he was in the hospital?
No. He ended up telling me like now, when we finally had that one-on-one conversation on the phone. But I ended up switching over the phone. I was like, hi. She was like, Miss Henry? And I was like, yes. She was like, I need you to come in tomorrow. And I was like, for what? I just left there. Like, I don't like hospitals. I was like, I just left there. What now? She was like, I really need you to come tomorrow. So something was telling me something wasn't right. So I clicked back over the phone. I was like, something you didn't tell me? He was like, what? I was like, there's something you need to tell me because the doctor is telling me I need to come tomorrow. I confronted him before I found out I was HIV positive. I confronted him. I even went into the Tallahassee mom groups asking, is it normal for the doctor to tell me to come in the next day? Everybody was like, no. So I confronted. I was like, you sure you don't need to tell me something? And he was like, no, I didn't tell you nothing. I was like, okay. I didn't speak to him until the next day. The next day comes, my mom come get me, go to the hospital. I'm sitting on there. I was like, Mom, what's going on? What I noticed is the first time we came to the hospital, we went right. Now we're going left. And there's so many infection diseases on the wall of different kinds. So, all right, now at this point, something ain't right. I feel it in my stomach. I feel it in my gut. Something's telling me something's not right, Brenda. So I ended up waiting on the doctor. The doctor came in, my heart dropped. My heart dropping right now, like I'm reliving that moment. And she said, do you want your mom in here? I have something to tell you. And I was like, Mom, whatever it is, let me swallow it first, and then I'll tell you what she said. And I wish I never did that. I wish I had my mama in that very moment when the doctor told me that. She said, we ran your blood and you are positive for HIV. I said, no, no way. I'm too young to have HIV. No, this is not about me. I think y'all got it wrong. She was like, no, you're HIV positive. Do you know who can give it to you? That's when I think, when she said, do you know who you got it from? That's when I blew up into, I screamed on top of my lungs in the hospital, crying and said, I'm going to kill him. Because that moment, I knew that my husband was sleeping with men. That moment, everything started clicking. I said, I only slept with one man. And that's when I knew it was my ex-husband. My mom came in and I told her what happened. And I can tell she was trying to be so strong for me, but she wanted to scream herself. So I'm leaving the hospital. I'm numb to the world. Like I am so, if you'd have killed me right then and there, I wouldn't even give a darn. I was that numb. Because I felt like I was gonna die anyways because I wasn't educated on HIV at the time. So I go back to the house. My mom called this HIV advocate. Her name is Dana. She's open about her status. She helped a lot of people here where I'm from. And she came over to the house and she talked to me and she told me that, it's not a death sentence and all this other stuff. Girl, I wasn't trying to hear you. I wasn't. I'm trying to wrap around my head what the doctor told me and what this means because I thought I wasn't gonna be able to raise my daughter. So, I mean, you can tell this was always hard for me because I ain't hyper anymore. But we ended up talking, and she asked me questions, and she said, "Call him." And I was like, "For what?" So I called him, and I was like, "When are you gonna tell me?" He's like, "Tell you what?" And I said, "So when are you gonna tell me?" I said, "Nigga, don't play me. When are you gonna tell me?" And he said, "Yeah." And I was like, "That you gave me HIV." No, babe, no,
The
man,
advocate was the
man.
advocate standing right there next to you while you was doing this?
My mom and the advocate. So I was like, nigga, don't play with me. He was like, who you around? I said, nobody. It's lying. The advocate was right here. My mom was right here. We all was sitting on the couch. And he said he had it for many years. He knew he had it. And I was so numb that I don't even think I had a reaction. I just hung up. And then Dana was telling me the advocate is just like lock him up. And I was like, I don't. In my head, I still don't. I'm still not processing everything. Y'all are giving me so many things to do. And I'm still trying to wrap around my head. This lady just told this 20-year-old girl that she's HIV positive. So I'm just sitting there numb. And they telling me what to do. I'm just sitting there numb. And then out of nowhere, I get an inbox from the mother before me. And I was like, why is this girl contacting me? She
This
was like,
child,
please
he
call
has
me.
another child with another woman, and this woman
Mm-hmm.
contacted you.
Mm-hmm. She said, hi, I know you don't know who I am, but do you know Derek is gay and have HIV? That's how I was looking when she said that. Because I like I said, I'm numb. I was like, I know that now because I have it. Like, I think in that moment I didn't give a darn who knew I had HIV. Like I did not know I was gonna get this far in my story, but I knew I didn't care if a person knew I was HIV positive. I was never really embarrassed of having HIV. I feel like HIV should be a normal talk. You get what I'm saying? I feel like that's a conversation everyone needs to have. It should be normal to talk about HIV because it's a sexual disease. It's sexual and any other STDs out there. It needs to be talked about. That's why so many people have it because nobody's talking about it. Nobody's telling you how you can protect yourself from it. Nobody's telling you how you look for signs. Nobody's saying anything. So, anyways, she was like, he did it to me too. He gave it to me too. And then she proceeded to tell me her story about how she knew he was gay because it was a lot of pumps. That's what she called them, pumps. I don't know who called them pumps. She must be old because pumps. I ain't had pumps in so long. She was like, it's a lot of pumps upstairs.
Wait, she said she knew it was gay because a lot of punks.
Yeah, it was a lot of pumps upstairs. And he used to go up there with them, and they was living at a hotel. I was like, oh, he was a bum his whole life then, living in hotels. So the backstory with her is her mother is the one that was in a relationship with my ex-husband. She backdoored her mom and got with him and had a baby with him.
Well, this is Florida. I mean, I'm pretty sure this should happen everywhere, but I'm like, I need to stay out of wherever this.
Crazy. So the thing is, when she told me that, in my head, I'm like, should I have sympathy for her? You backdoor your mom, just like my dad backdoor his daughter. Like, I didn't show that attitude to her, but I wanted to so bad. But I just listened because I know what it feels like to be a victim at the same time. And she was saying how she found out that she was HIV positive during her labor. They was getting ready to let her push, and then they said, no, she HIV positive. And they ended up cutting her open. She said she did not keep the baby. She gave the baby up for adoption because the baby did get HIV. She's a crackhead now, so she was a crackhead, so she could know she couldn't take care of no baby, and the baby looked just like my ex-husband. And
But she must didn't get no prenatal care or not anything for the baby.
no, she didn't know she was pregnant at first. But then when she did know, she didn't care. She was a prostitute. She was a crackhead. So she gave the baby up for adoption. She did tell me the baby lived somewhere in Orlando. And it's sad because my daughter would never be able to meet her brother unless she does that thing when she get older.
Ancestry.
Right. So she wouldn't know a lot of her siblings. I found out he got 12 kids. So she don't know any of her siblings but the ones I have, my kids I have. But anyways, she made me promise her that I was gonna lock him up. And I was like, I don't know what I want to do. She was like, it's so many of us that he did this to. Imagine all the men that didn't know. Imagine the women that didn't know. Do it for me and my baby. Do it for your baby. Do it for you. And she was like, if you don't do it, he's not going to stop. You are the wife. So you have power. It's too late for me to do it. And I think that when she said that, I think that's what made me consider it. And she made me promise that I would lock him up. Because if you want me to be honest, I don't think I would have if she didn't ask me to. So it's not a coincidence that she called me. I do believe it was God because I would have went back to my ex-husband after all of that. Because in my head, I felt like nobody will want me. I might as well stay with him. That's what I believed. And I got off the phone with her. Still now I'm trying to process everything. I'm so confused. I don't know nothing about HIV. Fast forward, I did get in contact with Tallahassee police, told them the situation. I believe they harped on it because he is a sex offender, and they seen that age difference, and they didn't like that. And it was so crazy. The news got involved. What does the people call? It wasn't, I want to say the army. It wasn't the army, but it was something. Everybody had on uniforms, guns. It was a big deal in our
Like a
apartment
SWAT
complex.
team?
SWAT team, yeah, the SWAT team went and got him. The SWAT team got him. It was crazy, and he actually brought it up to this day that he's upset about that still.
You don't have the right to be upset about a damn thing.
Nothing.
About
So
a damn thing.
the SWAT team got involved. The news got involved. I asked them, please do not put my name or my face in the news or the newspaper. That's all I ask. I'm still trying to process everything. But people who did know that was my husband knew it was about me. The girls from the shelter reached out to me and apologized and said, I'm so sorry. I did not know that you was going through those things. Like, I just deleted my whole Facebook. I deleted my Facebook because I'm still trying to process. At this point, my daughter's born. So I'm trying to process me having HIV, her taking her HIV medicine, and praying that she doesn't have it. You get what I'm saying? So I'm trying to process all of this. And state picked it up. So it got even bigger because state picked it up. Even if I decided not to press charges anymore,
State picked it up.
state already picked it up. So they wanted him. They wanted him to go. They wanted me to testify, and I just could not. I could not. I just kept imagining facing the man that did this to me. To this day, I have not seen my ex-husband in person since the day I looked in his eyes and told him bye.
Mm.
We see each other on video, we see talk on the phone, but we have never seen each other in flesh. He's been begging me, no, I don't trust you. I don't have no love for you. You already told my husband you want your wife back. You disrespected my husband. And then you inboxed my husband. They locked him up. He wrote me letters because
How long was he locked up?
4 years. He wrote me letters and he got my phone number, so he was calling me because the divorce papers had my information in there. So, thank God we moved before he got out because he knew the address. So, my dad, that's what my dad, saying that I should never lock him up, blah, 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 trying to process everything. So they locked him up. My husband, who I'm with now, told me, because I was reading the letters. The man of God prophesied to me and said, stop reading the letters, because the letters is what's drawing you back into the camp, the witchcraft. And I had picked up the letter from the mail and I was reading it. So hard-headed of me. I was reading it and I started smiling. And my husband, who I'm with now, said it's either him or me.
Blame him. I don't blame him. It's disrespectful at that point.
That man said it's either, but our relationship was fresh too. He said it's either him or me. As you can see, you know who I chose. You get what I'm saying? So that's how that relationship ended. I have never spoken to him again. But like I told you, his boyfriend was calling me. He gave them my number somehow. I can't make this up. I made a video about this years ago. The boyfriend called me crying. I said, what are you calling the ex-wife for? What are you calling the ex-wife? I'm the ex-wife. I'm the victim.
Let me ask you this. What is the relationship like with you and your father?
That's what I was about to talk about. Let me give you 2 reasons why I don't talk to my father to this day. The first reason is he said that to me. I still try to forgive him, which I did. I forgive him, but I tried to, still build some type of relationship because people can change. But we'll put the ice on the cake with me and him. You sent kissy faces to my husband, who I'm with now. My
So not
husband.
only did your father sleep with your ex-husband who gave you HIV, your father was trying to
Dia.
hit on your new husband, your current husband. Brenda, I'm going to invite you back on my channel to fill in some of the gaps because there's just so much to your story. We know that you are currently married. I want to bring you back so you can talk about your, I'm not going to say new husband, but your current husband, your children. You are the mother of 3 children. I know that you are a CNA. You work really hard. I do know that the HIV medications, the antiretrovirals that you were taking were messing with your mental health. It was causing you to have severe depression. Even though I don't have HIV, I can definitely relate to the depression. What's your current employment status right now?
So I had to leave one of the best jobs that I had because of my mental health. Now that I am currently on antidepressants, I did see a psychiatrist. She said that there's nothing wrong with me, like psych-wise. She said that it's trauma, and depression. So I am on antidepressants, and she wants me to take this time out to focus on myself and getting my mental health together. I can't even work because it's affecting my work. So now I'm taking this time out to focus on me and my mental health. So it does frustrates me that I'm no longer working. It is take a big toll on me at the same time because what a lot of people don't know is that there is a such thing as depression, functional depression. So what helped me to function, I have to be working, doing something to
Staying
get out of
busy.
depression. Right. So the antidepressants is working, but it's still a process. I have to process my emotions now. I'm noticing that nobody really, people around me didn't love me for real. They either used me or I let stuff slide. Um, I'm starting to see my abusers differently. So it definitely take a toll on me recently because of my mental health. Yeah.
Brenda, I was watching a video of yours, and I know that like last year you went through a whole lot. Like there was a time where you were like, you and your family were homeless just for a short period of time, but it was just a time of transition. You all, Brenda and her husband, they're hard workers. This man has stuck by her through thick and thin, disease and all. No relationship is perfect. They're a young family, and I always post people's cash apps up on the screens, and I just leave it up to you all to, whether you want to donate or not. But in this instance, in this situation, as a person who has been following Brenda for a few years now, I want to say that this girl, please don't be mad at me for saying this, Brenda, she could use the help. She could use the help. So I don't care if it's like $1, $2. I don't care if y'all saying, oh my God, why is he asking? I feel compelled to ask on Brenda's behalf. Whatever y'all can do to support Brenda, y'all, please, in this time of transition for her, where she's just now starting her medicine for her mental health and she's transitioning and stuff, please help her and her young family out. That's all I'm asking y'all. In addition to that, Brenda, I also saw a video where you were saying that you felt like people were benefiting from your story and you were kind of getting the short end of the stick and not really benefiting. People just were trying to exploit you for telling your story. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
So ever since I've been on antidepressants, I've been noticing a lot. I was able to think and put two and two together from a lot of things. If you don't know, I was on Tasha K and some other celebrities, podcasts or show, or I did a few TV shows as well, except for the recent one I recently did this year. But everything that I did last year, I didn't get a dime for it.
So you weren't compensated for being on Tasha K's show?
No.
How did that come about?
So between my supporters and her supporters saw my story, my supporters saw Tasha K, and they started pulling us in the same direction. And Tasha K said that her supporters was inboxing to interview me. Her team reached out to me to fly me out. Now she did pay for my round trip. She did pay for my food when I ate there, whatever. The only thing that I could say that she should have done differently, it was a round trip. After the interview, I went home.
Okay.
Yeah, so I should have been in a hotel, got myself together next day. I can come in and be refreshed. In that interview, I was tired. I was tired because I took 2 planes to get there. Not only that I took 2 planes, I have never been on a plane before, so I was scared. Then take one back to Atlanta and then one back so that's 4 planes altogether. I'm tired. And I didn't get a dime, not one penny.
Was that talked about prior to you appearing on her channel?
So what's supposed to happen was we were supposed to have a conversation once I got there. I was ambushed. I also was not treated like the victim. I was treated like I did something wrong. And what put the icing on the cake for me is when she called herself Googling the story and pulled up the wrong person. That pissed me off. Another thing that pissed me off was she told me there's no such thing as undetectable. I don't know if she left that in there, but a lot of
Wait,
people
you're
reach
saying
out
that
to me.
Tasha K told you there was no such thing as undetectable in reference to your HIV status?
Mm-hmm.
And so you were offended by that because you're like, how can you invite this person who has been living with this on your channel and say something like that without having your facts straight?
Right. First of all you had to do was Google my ex-husband, what the other people did, the show I just went on. They went and pulled up his records, my dad records. It's all there. You get what I'm saying? The news article is there. You get what I'm saying? So for her to
So was she questioning that actually happened to you, or was she questioning that you had HIV and that you were undetectable? Did she just not know what undetectable was, or was she questioning that any of this stuff happened to you?
so first of all, she questioned everything. That's one. Two, I don't even think she believed I had HIV. And then she started saying that I was lying about being undetectable and that there's no such thing, me being with a man who is negative and having sex with him and still he don't get it unprotected. So
So she was just uneducated about HIV, sounds like.
mhm,
I
right.
understand. In Tasha's defense, I don't know how she monetized the video. I will say, as a YouTuber, and I know that you have a YouTube channel as well, and I'm going to make sure that I put all of your contact information down in the description box in case any other people are out there and they want to collab with Brenda, or they have some opportunities for her, or they want to help her out in any kind of way along her journey. I'm going to make sure that all of that information is available to you all. One thing I will say about Tasha's interview with you, I do know that the interview is like over 800,000 views, but because of the subject matter, just like this video, it's not going to get monetized. So do you think that she made any money off of your video?
Yes. She have multiple things that people would pay. Before my story went out to public on YouTube, my story was on her private thing for 6 months before it came out on YouTube.
Oh, on her website.
Right. It was on her website
Oh,
for a very long time. Also, she went live about me. One thing I didn't know about this industry is that they like drama. So it's like she wanted me to go back and forth with her on the internet to get
you
people
think
to. Mhm. Oh, you
you
didn't see that live? I
no,
didn't know
no,
about it.
wait, so you think that Tasha K wanted to go back and forth with you on the internet for views and you
I
weren't with
didn't
it?
know about it.
I don't
I
know
was
nothing about
asleep.
this.
I was asleep. My mom, my sisters called me, blowing my phone up, telling me that Tasha K is live about me right now. So I go on there and I'm hearing everything she's saying about me. And it was to have people to go view the video. So I made a post to my supporters because they started tagging me and stuff. And I was like, listen, y'all know this is not my character. I'm not gonna go back and forth with no one. I wish Tasha K the best, and I hope she succeeds.
What was she saying to get something riled up? Because I don't know about none of this.
So Basically, she
I
was
don't have
saying
no problem with
how,
Tasha K or nothing like this. This is all new to me. So I'm just,
mhm. Basically she was saying how she think I'm lying about being molested, about having HIV. Like she was just saying
you,
stuff
you
like
do know
that.
that Tasha herself has come out and told her own story that certain things happened to her as a child. So that's shocking that you're what you're saying.
I mean, if you really pay attention to the interview, she wasn't saying something as if she was is concerned. She was she was being petty. She was being manipulative. She was being like she did not believe me. If you pay attention to the video, there's a part where she got up and left the room. She went to go talk to her husband. And when she came back, I felt like I was in interrogation room. If you watch me, I'm talking to the viewers. If you watch me, you know my channel, you know who I am, you know my character, you will know when Brenda get defensive. And I immediately got defensive. I started talking hard. I started doing like this. I started using my eyes. That's how you know when I feel like I'm getting played. And that's exactly what happened. And then when the cameras come off, she a whole nother Tasha K.
Wow.
Like
So
people don't know Tasha K camera on and off are two different people. When the camera is off, she's the sweetest woman I ever met in my life. But when that camera on, she's a Rottweiler. But when the camera came back
I
on,
do know Tasha's hustle. That's just part of like the business. But I
mhm,
do understand how that can be very off-putting to somebody, especially if you haven't discussed that with somebody beforehand. Like when people come on my
mhm,
channel, they already know what's up. We've already discussed certain things. Maybe
mhm.
I don't go over questions with people just like I didn't go over any questions with you,
Right.
but I pretty much let you know what's gonna go down prior to, everything happening. So do
Mhm.
you feel like okay, so the part that's the only thing that sounds like is a big issue is you all were supposed to discuss finances and it was almost like brushed under the rug. So you never received any money from Tasha K for telling your story. The only thing that you got was a round trip ticket. Did she pay for your hotel?
There was no hotel.
Oh, so it was just like you was just in and out.
In and out.
It was like, come tell me your
Literally.
story and get your ass back on.
Mhm. That's it.
Wow.
That's all. And then she didn't even put my social media information up. People had to Google me. And I had people tell me, like, people to this day, I go in my comments and they'll be like, Tasha K was wrong. Me personally, I have never came out. This is my first time publicly talking about Tasha K. I tried not to because I know that she wanted me to do this from the beginning, but that's not my character. I'm not a back and forth person. That's draining. I've been through too much to be
So
there.
do you think after the interview she still wanted you to go back and forth, or did she just want you to go back and forth to promote the interview?
The back and forth happened after the interview. I'm home. I'm home. She's on live talking crap about me. And I had family members, church family members reaching out, telling me all of this. I was just as confused as they were. And that's when I made my statement that I said, and she got offended about my statement. And it got
What was your
worse.
statement?
I said, I told my supporters I'm not going back and forth with Tasha Gay. I see the situation, but I wish her the best. I hope she succeed. That's it. It's nothing else to talk about.
So you think that Tasha K used your HIV status for views
Mm-hmm.
and you were not compensated,
No.
even though it was said that you were going to talk about money?
Yes.
Brenda, I'm not going to take any more of your time. How do you
Yeah.
feel about what we talked about?
I feel good. I can tell that you are genuine. Like I said, I'm woke. So I can definitely see that you are genuine and you're not doing this for just your gain. I can see that you genuinely care and want to help me. I also see that you care about people, period. You get what I'm saying? So I love you. I do.
This is definitely not going to be our last conversation. I'm really happy about the way that things turned out. I have a lot of editing to do, but I think that we're both going to be happy with the finished
Yeah.
product and finished outcome. So
Okay.
enjoy the rest of your day. And yeah, we're gonna be in touch. We friends now. We're gonna be in touch, all right?
Right. Just let me know. Let me know. Shoot me a text. I'll text you my number.
All right. Take care, Brenda, and I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Enjoy your day. Bye.